Hi everyone, it's Scotty Moser, and today I'm going to continue talking about debt. And as I have said in past videos, a couple of the underlying emotional components of carrying debt is a feeling of unworthiness, and another way to say it is punishment. If you have a lot of debt, there's a part of your subconscious that thinks that's exactly what you deserve, and so you subconsciously hold yourself in a punishment cycle. And with those two together, another way to phrase this and look at it, another emotional component that often comes up with debt is shame. And shame is actually the darkest emotion that humans can experience. It's at the very bottom of the ladder of emotions, with joy being at the top. Shame is at the very bottom. And the reason shame is so pervasive in debt is we're taught to stay out of debt and that we must manage our money wisely, and financial independence is a big thing, and spending within your means. All of those things are big things in our society. So when you don't do it, there's often a feeling of you're bad. Not you did something bad, but you yourself at a fundamental level are bad. You're a bad person. You're unworthy. You're not good enough. And that's shame. And it's can be devastating. And Brene Brown, everybody probably has heard of her. She is one of our leading shame researchers, and she has pinpointed the three things necessary to really go into a shame spiral. And these three things are secrecy, silence, and judgment. And so when you apply the shame spiral components to debt, oh my gosh, you can see how it can get out of control, because we're not, as a society, we don't talk freely about our income, much less our debt. So in debt, all three of those things, secrecy, silence, and judgment, are pervasive, and we keep it to ourselves and we hold it. And so then we go into a shame downward spiral, and we feel even more and more shamed and embarrassed and unworthy as our debt gets worse and worse. From a lot of attraction perspective, this is a horrible position to be in, because as you go into the shame spiral, then you draw more, like attract like, right? And so you draw more of that into yourself, and you accumulate more debt. And so Brene Brown also gives three things to get out of the shame spiral, that she calls it shame resilience. And these three things are, first of all, talk to yourself like you're someone you love. Would you ever talk to your kids or someone that you really love like you talk to yourself about your debt? Usually, our self talk around debt is you're an idiot. How could you do this? You're worthless. You're stupid. You're a failure. And so, stop all of that and start talking to yourself like you're someone you love. And the second thing is to reach out to someone you trust. And this can be hard with finances and debt, but one of the biggest things that we can do is to change our position, and to really ignite the law of attraction in our favor and stop all these downward spirals, is to find someone you trust, whether it be a coach or a therapist or a good friend, and share your story. That's the third component. Reach out and tell your story. Shame cannot survive light. It cannot survive being brought out into the open. It needs secrecy, silence, and judgment to survive and thrive. So when you take away those things by telling your story to someone that you trust and talking to yourself like you're someone that you love, you can stop and reverse the shame spiral. And this is the first step to getting out of debt, because as long as you're calling yourself an idiot 1,000 times a day, that doesn't help. That's not going to do anything for you law of attraction wise, and you're probably going to stay stuck. You might have all of the practical resources such as budgeting and things like that in the world, and not much is going to move as long as you're shaming yourself and taking on that energy. And so that's it for today. Remember that when it comes to debt, stop the shame cycle, stop the punishment by talking to yourself like you're someone you love, reaching out to someone you trust, and telling your story.